Historically, Africa has had more female leaders than many places in the world. And in modern day history, the continent continues to blaze the trail of female leadership ahead of powerful countries like the United States of America, which failed to seize the opportunity for a female presidency. In Africa, countries like Burundi, Mauritius, the CAR, Gabon, and Liberia have all had female presidents at some point in their history. Some were democratically elected, while others stepped in when the country was in need of a leader. Take, for instance, Rose Francine Rugombi, who became interim president of Gabon after the death of President Omar Bongo. As president of the Senate at the time, she rose to the occasion and led her country until a successor was chosen. Then there is the famous example of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia. She led that country when the country needed direction and growth. In Ethiopia, Saleh Work has been head of state since 2018. She's expected to serve a 6-year term. Africa once again is on the brink of adding to the repertoire of female leaders, as Namibia could be the next in line to elect its vice president, its deputy prime minister, I beg your pardon, for the top job in the 2024 elections. So the question, who is she? What are her chances? What are the dynamics that come along with this expectation? Let's find out together. Thanks for joining the gathering at the square today. I am Keminni Amanor. Let's now meet our guests. First, we'll have Monique Adams, who is a journalist in Namibia. A little later, we expect to be joined by Shelley-Ann Peterson. She's also a journalist. But first, Monique, you're welcome to the square.
Thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be on the Village Square Africa.
Great. I want to talk about how you felt when you heard that the longest serving party in Namibia has chosen a female as its presidential candidate.
Well, as a female myself, it was a very proud moment for me. And I didn't expect this from SWAPO because over the years they've been having, it's been male dominant, like the leaders. So I didn't expect them to really, change that perspective and push a female. It's exciting times. They do now understand how important it is to have women in such positions. So I'm just really looking forward to how all of this unfolds. But when I saw the results and the announcement, I was like, yes, female empowerment.
Well, sounds good, doesn't it? But tell us how all of this has come to be that Madame Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, and I hope I mentioned it right,
Yes.
got the position of the presidency of SWAPO.
In 2017, she was President Hage Geingob picked her for vice president. So during approaching the elections, 800 delegates convened to elect their next vice president from a selection of the 3 candidates who included, Prime Minister Sarah Kungongelwa Amadila and our Environment Minister Bohamba Shifeta, as well as Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. So it was a tough race. People really didn't expect Netumbo to take the reins. It was very much a lot of people were leaning towards Sarah Amadila. So I would say Netumbo is really an underdog. And yeah, it was very unexpected, to be honest.
I see. Now, this is not the first time, though, that Namibia is having a female presidential candidate, although this is the first for the longest serving party. And so, I mean, what are her chances, really, of winning the elections itself in 2024?
It's very difficult to say because yes, a lot of women, I've spoken to a lot of females in different industries and they are rooting for Netumbo. But, you also get the men that are they are very iffy in allowing a female to lead them. Most people are also worried because of her age, because she recently turned 70 years old. But she mentioned in an interview that with her age comes wisdom. And she has been blessed with great health, and she doesn't see that as a problem, an issue for her to take this leadership. So I think um, the man just needs to come on board and support her, because yeah, when she does her rounds in Namibia, and she will get a lot of votes, that I'm sure of. But right now it's a gray area. People are still a bit iffy, especially the men.
I see. And how do you feel about the fact that, it seems okay to society when an older man, vies for presidency, but they are not given the same grace to a female candidate?
It goes down to really not thinking that a woman can succeed in leading a country or taking up such leadership positions, because they feel women are too emotional. So with age, us as women, we go through a lot of things like menopause, and your emotions get are just up and down. But Netumbo has a lot of experience and discipline, and she has been in the political industry for a very long time. So she understands the importance and how difficult it will be. I think she's planned this for a very long time, and now that it's coming into realization, she's really going to prove the naysayers wrong and show that a woman can lead with a sound mind.
Very well. I wanted to talk about her political career in a bit, but what are Namibians saying about this?
A lot of people are like, recount the votes. They feel that there has been some kind of not correct votings, that has the results are not correct. Excuse me. They feel that way, and it needs to be recounted. People are just really in disbelief. They do not want to accept that she won. It's just it's an interesting time for Namibia, because many, for not just in the political sphere, but many times in different industries, we are led by men, and women are always, you always need to work 10 times harder just because you're a woman itself. So I think Swapord made a right move with this one, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing how this unfolds, because right now, or like, it's very, it's, I don't, personally, I don't know where we stand, but I'm very excited to see how it unfolds, to be honest.
Very well. Now, I mean, despite all that we've spoken about, it would seem that the last decade, Namibia has tried to make changes so that a lot of women rise to the top. You have a female prime minister, you have females in a lot of ministerial positions as well. What is it about the country? What changes did the country make in order to get to this point?
I would say our youth. Our youth has been our the Namibian youth are very outspoken when it comes to our leaders, what we want to see, what changes we want within our country. And I think the political leaders have listened now, because we push empowering women. There we have our young ICT Minister Emma. We have young ladies pushing political agendas in the parliament. So I think they have realized that they can't just keep on sticking to their old ways of doing things, and they should start listening to the youth, because the youth, we are the future, and we are the future leaders. So any chance we get, we push those agendas and make sure that we make a difference within the Namibian life.
Let's talk about Ndaitwah's political career. How far has she come?
Oh, she has. Uh, she has a military background. With her connections as being the international relations minister, that relationship with the international world, that will also give her better access to better opportunities to provide for Namibia once she is president. Um, she she's been very active in providing opportunities, private and government, when she does her travels internationally. So she's really someone that, like I mentioned earlier, she's been an underdog, but I feel like we shouldn't undermine her and that she has a plan, to take this home.
Very well. Now, you are Namibian, and as a citizen of the country, I mean, let's put journalism aside. What are some of the things that you'd expect her to be looking at once, I mean, if she's able to come into office as president?
For me personally, corruption. Over the years, cases have been exposed as corruption has been taking place in different sectors, different industries, but it hasn't gone far as to bringing these people in that partook in this injustice. They haven't come to justice. They haven't been punished for their activities when it comes to corruption. She mentioned in an interview that she really believes in fighting against corruption, because if we as citizens of Namibia cannot trust our own leader to make sure that she sees to it that these activities of people doing corruption are not being they're not being arrested, they're not going through trial, and they're not being put away. How will we grow as a country if there is no trust? So she mentioned that in an interview earlier that trust is important for her. And yeah, so corruption is one of the most important, one of the things I feel she should tackle head on once she becomes president.
So how widespread is the subject of corruption in Namibia?
Uh, it's very undercover. It's not, Namibians tend to shy away from it. Just gets on the front page of the newspaper, and then you don't hear about that case ever again. But this time around with the fish rod incident, it got a lot of pickup internationally, globally. So they had to make a move and arrest these people to show that they are taking it seriously. But the case is being dragged. So I just feel we need to move fast. When you find someone misusing their resources or their networks or their position, in a bad way, that they are being punished. And so yeah, I
Right.
hope with her president she makes sure that happens.
Very well. Now, you talked about, her building trust. And I mean, if you juxtapose that to the fact that she's also been a part of SWAPO for as long as they have been ruling, it makes you wonder if she will be any different, doesn't it?
It does make you wonder, but you just have that little hope that she just does not fall into that line of what SWAPO is being portrayed as. So, politics is a very difficult and an ongoing roller coaster ride of a lot of things. People say if you can't beat them, join them, but I hope she does not do that, but rather she stands strong to her morals, her values, and what she believes in.
Right. So let me put you on the spot now. You mentioned that she had spoken in an interview about how she wants to build trust. In your opinion, how well do you think she could be building trust with the Namibian people?
With the first, that she's a lady, she's a woman, so I think she will use that to her advantage, to build and to be in order to connect with the citizens of Namibia. Apart from that, it should be shown with actions what campaigns she goes through, her decision making when it comes to certain topics. So that will show the Namibian people that no, we can really trust her. She is the president for us.
Very well. Now, I just wanted us to go back to the fact that I mentioned earlier that Ndaitwah may be the first for the biggest political party, but will not be the first for any other party, because about 3 years ago, we had Esther Muyangi, and I hope I got the surname right again. She stood for the National United Democratic Organization. And one of the things she said was the fact that taking the presidential candidacy is opening ways for other women. And here we are with Ndaitwah. Now, what do you think the significance will be for women and girls in Namibia?
I mean, we started with allowing young women leading in the parliament, getting seats in the parliament, and being ministers themselves. So that was like a first step. And now that we have a possible female president, it's amazing. It just really shows that as Namibia, I always used to think Namibia, we would not really grow, move forward. Like, we're very old school. We're very content with the way we do things. So with this, for many young girls to see this happening and being able to witness this history, even if she does not become president, just her nomination, her winning the election, it just gives us hope that we can break this glass ceiling when it comes to women, and women are able to lead in such man-like, what they would say, roles. So it really does give hope, not just in the political industry, but also women that are in the corporate, women that are doing entrepreneurship. It will motivate them and show them that, it is possible. You just need to put in the work and give it your all and your best, and the rewards will come. You just need to be patient as well.
Very well. When we come back from this break, Monique, I want us to talk about the state of women and girls in Namibia, because when a woman gets into position, there's always an opportunity for us to make our case, isn't it? And so we'll talk about women and girls in Namibia. We'll also touch a bit on how, the parties are gearing up to the 2024 elections, which is also next year. Stay with us here on The Square. We'll be right back.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa First.
Hello again. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Village Square Africa. If you just joined us, we have been discussing the woman making news in Namibia because she is getting a real shot at presidency in the country. She was recently elected as presidential candidate for the longest serving party, the Southwest Africa People's Organization, which is mostly called SWAPO Party in Namibia. And that gives her a real advantage to being the next president of Namibia in 2024. So we've been learning a lot about her. But first, let's take a listen to how the incumbent president, Hage Geingob, reacted to her election.
Singular honor to take this opportunity to congratulate those who were duly elected, including me, of course. It is my great pleasure and honor to congratulate Comrade Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah for having been elected as Vice President. So it's a big day today. It's a historic event that we have elected a female. As I said, it could be a female or a young man. Now here it is. I said we are making something new that Namibians.
Well, and that's something new is the reason we're having this discussion. Monique Adams is a journalist in Namibia. We have been talking to her about events turning up in her country. But President Gengov just had to put in there that he needed to congratulate himself too for being a permanent member of the party's executive, really taking the shine from the women, isn't it? But I want us to try and understand how the politics works in Namibia. Madame Ndaitwah now is vice president for the country and for the country. So how does that make her president almost automatically? I really don't understand. If you could help us go through how the politics works.
You know, every 5 years, the Congress elects the leadership of the party and the top organs, which include the Central Committee and its top four, namely the President and Vice President, Secretary General, and Deputy Secretary General. So SWAPO being, you know, the majority, the leading party in Namibia, that's how she stands a greater chance of becoming our female president of Namibia.
Okay, so what I want to clarify now is the last election that took place, the SWAPO party election that took place, elected her as the presidential candidate. Prior to that, she was deputy prime minister.
Yeah.
So how do these two make her the vice president of the country, or am I getting it wrong?
No, they still need to do that election for her to become vice president. So we will, after our president announces who will take over once his term has ended. So since SWAPO is majority of Namibia, they lead in majority parts of Namibia, they will support Netumbo when she goes for her presidency, like her run for presidency.
Okay, so is Netumbo the vice president of Namibia now?
Our current, she is vice president, yes.
Right, okay. Away from that, I did say that I wanted us to talk about women and girls in Namibia. What would you say is the state of women and girls in Namibia?
The state in women and girls in Namibia, every day we fight for our place in different sectors, in different industries. It is really a struggle, you know, with some girls, their living conditions, and in some parts of Namibia, some girls don't have access to the necessary skill sets that they need in order to become better individuals or to grow as better individuals. So many of times we want women that we look up to moving around in this places that needs assistance, like in the rural areas of Namibia, whereby, because they are not exposed to the internet, majority of people in Namibia are not exposed to the internet, so they don't see women that look like them succeeding, not just in politics, but also in different industries. So having this announcement and having this news of our possible first female president, it's really, and being in our own country, it's really gonna show the young girls and the women out in Namibia that it is possible. It will give us hope,
Very well.
to.
We here also look forward to that time as you're telling us. But let's talk about the 2024 elections. How is Namibia gearing up to that?
Well, they are excited. Everyone needs to vote. If you are 18, make sure you vote so you can cast your voice. Parties are gearing up. They're getting ready to do their parades all over Namibia. Some have started, just giving a heads up. We will be moving around. Please make sure you vote for us. But it's exciting times. The country is very busy planning that, and a lot of young people are also very excited and very looking forward to voting this time around. It hasn't been like that in the past year, but this time around they are very excited. My peers, they are very excited to vote and very excited to bring a change within the leadership in our country.
I couldn't help but notice your emphasis on go out to vote. Why is that important?
It is important because you want change. Change will not happen if you just sit at home and complain about the leadership and complain about opportunities and complain about this and that. If you want to make change, go out and vote. And that's how you create change.
Away from the presidency, what other kinds of positions or roles are up for grabs in the elections?
I can't say right now because the main focus is just that. It's overshadowing the rest. So I can't speak on that at the moment.
So what I'm asking, maybe I should just clarify my question a bit. What I'm asking is, are there positions up for grabs at the local government level? Are there MPs who are going into the election in 2024 as well, or is just a presidential race?
With possible other, I think, if I stand corrected, that other parties, leaders from other parties are gonna get into that race with becoming an MP or the opportunity of presidency. But currently, that's all I can speak on it, to be honest.
Totally, I understand. Now, speaking of other parties, what do you think they could be learning from SWAPO's choice of a female presidential candidate at this point? I mean, however too late it is, or it may be.
They could learn a lot with getting more young people within their party, pushing that agenda of getting young people into leadership positions. A lot of times, people within a party that have been supporting this party for many years are really comfortable in their position and the way they do things, that they are not ready for that change and not allowing, the up and coming to come in and try and change things up. So I just feel other parties should learn how to embrace change and keep up with the times.
Very well. Now, just as we wind down, two things to get out of the way. How much of this do you think was a strategic decision by SWAPO just to entrench, their record of being the longest serving party in the country?
Very strategic. SWAPO knows what they're doing. They do know what they're doing. So hence why it was a surprise, but it also makes total sense for this move, this chess move they've made. So I can say that SWAPO knows what they're doing, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm just really looking forward to seeing how things unfold.
What would be your advice to young girls, women who will be watching you in Namibia right now?
Well, my advice to young girls and women watching is that you are the change. A lot of times we tend to listen to the outside noise and allow that to determine our purpose and our path in life. But in whatever you believe in, whatever greater strength or higher power you believe in, have that in the center of all your decision making, and make sure that you have your back and you believe in yourself before anything else. The rest will flow. Have faith, believe in yourself, and be patient, because everything will align.
Indeed, and thank you so much for talking to us today at the Square. I'm totally grateful that you could join us. Namibia always excites me. Windhoek excites me more. And you were just pleasant talking to. Thank you so much, Monique.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great honor. It's actually my first international interview, so thank you for the opportunity.
Well, and we're happy to have been the ones you spoke with. We look forward to talking to you more. Thank you so much, Monique.
Thank you.
Right. Monique Adams is a journalist in Namibia. She joined us today as we discuss Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, who is now the presidential candidate for the country's biggest and long-serving party, Southwest Africa People's Organization, popularly called SWAPO Party. If all goes well, she will be succeeding Hage Geingob, who is the incumbent president. He served his 2 terms, cannot run again, and so there could possibly be another female president on the continent. Well, I hope you learned a thing or two, and hopefully you will be talking to your own leaders as to, why you don't have enough women in leadership and make the change that you desire. My name is Keminni Amanor. Fantastic new week that we have finished. I hope to see you again next week here on Village Square Africa. Bye-bye.